Welcome to our Community Collaborators Brain Talk series. Today we hear from Emma and Tor, occupational therapists with a concussion service at Proactive Rehab.
Okay, hello, you're with Tor Hamilton and Emma Booth today. We're occupational therapists at Proactive Rehab, and we work under the concussion service. So what that entails is that generally we get a referral from either a GP or ACC, and we will do an initial assessment based on going over what's happened and general symptoms of what client's experiencing. So within that initial phase of meeting the client, we get them into the clinic. We have an occupational therapist do the initial assessment, and then a physiotherapist do a musculoskeletal assessment, which covers a whole range of things as well. We get the client to do a Rivermead, which is an assessment based on concussion symptoms. So that covers a whole range of different symptoms someone might be experiencing. A DAS, which is based around the mood, so depression, anxiety, stress scale. And then the Aregro, so that's a pain questionnaire, which we all use as a baseline as well. So today we were just going to talk about headaches and how we find people deal with these throughout their recovery, because everyone has different types of headaches and has different strategies of dealing with them. And I guess everyone's at a different stage in their life, whether it's a student or someone, over 60. They've all got different things going on in their life. So we have to obviously adjust to lifestyle and backgrounds and all sorts of things. So we thought we'd just touch base on some headache management today.
Okay, so what we also find often, just what Emma's saying, is that through the screening test and talking with the physio as well, we can establish pretty much some really good baseline information, which is really helpful when we come to the end of our involvement, a few weeks down the track, a couple of months down the track, whatever, and we can actually use those baselines to say, my gosh, you were here and now look where you've come, and that's quite helpful, isn't it, Em, with those, using those Rivermeads and using all those different screening tools. They can really give some good, just objective evidence to help us work out not only where you're at, but also what might be really helpful moving forward. So as an OT, we're always looking at your occupation. What are you doing? How are you spending your time? What's actually happening in your day? So we have a large component of, as part of our work, the physio will be looking at more the physical component. So that often looks at some different, as Em said, musculoskeletal, but often also looking at the eyes, having a wee understanding of how that might be affecting what's going on. Within our concussion service, we have the ability also to refer out and to have people who are specialised in optometry areas and psychology areas and medical areas, so that if we're concerned, there's other ways that we can work together to get that lovely team approach. But headaches are really common. They're not, and they're really tough, because they're something that when they come on, they can be really debilitating, requiring often, and that's often what people will seek, wouldn't you say, Em? Often they'll seek their GP or see somebody because they've got these ongoing headaches, and that can be something that is actually a sign that things are not quite right here. So, and working with that, the GP will often prescribe some medication to help manage that, so some pharmaceutical involvement, and then no, it still doesn't quite work, and that's why people will often go back again and say, no, they haven't settled, we're not sure. So often this combined approach with the physios, the OTs, looking at vision and a few things. So the big thing here, as an OT, we look at what we're doing, how you're doing it. So your activity is still really important, as is exercise, but it's finding a way to just pace that over a day and making sure that you are able to either one of the things is, if you're going running, stop running, let's just go for walking. So it's working out what would be your level and then building up on that. So we talk about pacing a lot, and as part of your, if you were working with an OT, we'd be working out, yeah, okay, here's your baseline and here's what we are aiming for, but along the way we need to stop that going up, booming. We call it booming and busting, going like this. We want to keep a nice steady trajectory. So the other thing that's really important here is sleep, and often with headaches that can be something that is really interrupted, would you say, Em? And people wake up.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess people have very different routines, and we talk a lot about the circadian rhythm, I guess. And a lot of people are like, what's the circadian rhythm? And I say, well, that's when, for example, we've just recently had daylight saving, and everyone's been saying, I feel really tired, and I've really struggled with the change in the hour difference in the mornings and at night. And it's saying, well, what will change? And it's actually the hour difference. And I guess that's how our body needs to adjust. Yeah. And I guess with sleep, we really enforce routine, and going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time. And with that rhythm, our body knows when we're digesting and when we're processing things within our bodies. And so it has almost our body clock. It knows that we might go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and we get up at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So within that time, that's when it does all of those things. And if we adjust that, that's when we generally will feel grotty throughout the day, or sometimes people find that if they sleep an hour or two later, that's when these other symptoms can come on. So we do really, focus on sleep and the routine it has, because, once we have that into a good routine, that can almost set you up for the day as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a good night's sleep. People say once they start getting their sleep and back into where it was pre the injury or the concussion, they start feeling a whole bunch better. Because the other thing is, often a busy brain, when you've had concussion, one of the lovely things to sort of, if you want an analogy, is like a train station, and the trains come in, they stop, they work to a timetable, and then they go out again. They come in, they go out. And with a concussion, it's like suddenly that timetable's gone, and the trains are coming and going, and they don't know what they're doing. So we've got to reset the timetable. We've got to reprogram. And the best, or the most restorative thing is the sleep. If you can get some good night's sleep, even during the day, often people will start by having an after lunch, 45 minutes, just to get that brain downtime, shut down time, allow it to reset and then go on again. So you can imagine a good night's sleep does the same sort of thing. And it stops that, waking up feeling, So we've got some really good things there that we can help with, and some different things that would be really helpful, like what to do before you go to bed, how to keep your routine, what would be the ideal thing to help wind the brain down to go to sleep, and correspondingly in the morning, getting up, what's your good routine, getting up, having something to drink, having something to eat, getting the day started in a way that just encourages the route, the rhythm really, of your day to get going.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well before that sleep or the bedtime routine is just to avoid all that blue light as well, and just to really settle yourself down. It might be that you do just a bit of journaling, a bit of writing, maybe it's Sudoku or something, away from your phones or your TV for about an hour before bed, just to try and really shut everything down and just be fully relaxed to go into a good sleep, because all of that can obviously influence on how you feel the next day and how you've actually slept that night. And just touching on the 45 minutes throughout the day, that's what we talk about is having a bit of a sleep obviously during the day, and 45 minutes would be our cap. And we wouldn't say to go any longer than that, and that's because we don't want our body to think that we're going into our nighttime routine. And I guess, you know, going back to the train station analogy, it's just trying to keep it in that same scheduling, same routine. And if we go any longer than 45 minutes, there's a chance that we could break that. So it just gives us a really short boost of energy, or we're refueling the tank, I guess, if you choose to, you know, have a sleep during the day, and that's absolutely okay to do that, but just limiting it. And it might be that you just need to set a timer on your phone just to lie down for that period of time, so that you can still have that good sleep at night. Yeah.
Keep that going.
Keep
So
it,
if the other big thing is thinking about all the different stressors during your day and minimizing them where possible. We appreciate that's not always appropriate, or it's really hard to achieve. And it's actually looking at things like, if it's a nice bright sunny day, maybe that's the time you need to wear your glasses, dark glasses, wear a hat, you know, minimizing all those things. If you think about the sound, sight, taste, touch, all those things that are coming into the body that needs to be processed by that brain. And if the headache is coming on, the more we're giving it in terms of music or smell or movement is all contributing to this overloaded brain, the brain that's already struggling. Think of those trains coming in and going. So we need to minimize all that, and that's where sleep's a big one. But also there's some really good strategies to help with managing a headache. There's the obvious ones, the medication, which use your pharmacist or your GP there. But things like, if it's a really hot sunny day, try the glasses, the dark glasses, and a hat. When even, you know, just zooming around the house, if you've got a really light house, sometimes that can be a simple thing like that for a period of time when it's really sunny and that type style of the day. Using, if it's once again hot and you're feeling hot, getting cold, or like a cold flannel or a cold heat pack that's been in the freezer, and putting that round the back of your neck, or under, if you go for a walk, we say, you know, to do sort of start with 10 minutes a day, just going for a walk, and if possible, first thing in the morning, or often last thing in the afternoon when the light's not quite so bright. But if it's hot where you are, try a cold flannel, try a bit of ice in a flannel, and cool everything down, because the hotter you are, the more the blood's flowing, the more the brain's having to work as well, which then can stimulate the headache response in an already stressed brain. That's when it's telling you, I've had enough. Breathing, often, sorry.
I was just going to say, with your hat and your sunglasses, I mean, even in the supermarket, people find, you know, some of those artificial lights in there can be extremely bright, and sometimes, you know, that can bring on headaches if you're not aware of how that's impacting you and what's bringing them on. So it's just aware to be aware of some of those bigger commercial places, that those lights can actually have a big impact. And again, it's about wearing your hat and potentially your sunglasses as well. And don't be ashamed to wear them, because I mean, if it's going to help you in the long run, you know, that's, you know, it's going to be amazing, you know, down the track.
Well, if it minimises the symptoms, it's going to allow you to have a better day. You're going to find that doing the grocery shopping, getting home, unpacking the car, unpacking the groceries is going to be achievable, as opposed to flip, I get in the car, I get a dreadful headache, I have to work out how I'm going to get home, you know, which can happen.
Yeah, and I guess that comes down to the pacing as well, of recognising, you know, how much you can do. And it might be that you can do the supermarket shopping, but when you get home, you might need to have a bit of a break and a bit of a lie down before you unpack the groceries.
Oh, and speaking of that, one of the big things that I have often recommended to people, it's got an unfortunate name, palming, but just giving your brain a break through your eyes, which are obviously, the biggest thing to give the brain a break is to close the eyes. But one of the best ways and most efficient ways is just to gently put your palms like this and give if possible, reduce the sound as well, and think about, you know, 5, 6 nice deep breaths. And it's a lovely way to just do a complete stop and let the brain reset itself. Longer is good, but if you're in one of those situations where you really just think, oh, I need to calm things down a bit, that's a really nice way to just, because physically you can feel that lovely pressure on the eye, and it's just as blacking out, and it allows the brain to take a quick break. Any other ones on that one, Em?
No, I think another one that a lot of people use is obviously the brain breaks, which is very much, it's similar to the palming, and it's just a point of going into a dark, cool room if you do have a headache that is influencing how your day is going. It's about just going into a quiet, dark room and just shutting your eyes for 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's not necessarily going to sleep, it's just having a bit of quiet time. And I know that can be hard in workplaces sometimes, but it might just be that you need to go, sounds really bizarre, but just going into the toilet and actually just shutting your eyes for a moment, because that's the only cool, dark place that you can find. And if that helps, it might be a point of actually implementing that into your day to keep on top of your headaches as well. So that's a really nice, easy strategy that you can do pretty much anywhere. Even if you're in the car, you can just put your hat and your sunglasses on and just shut your eyes for a moment. So that's a really good one to keep on top of things. And I mean, keeping on top of your water intake as well. I find a lot of people aren't aware of what caffeine can actually do to your body in terms of dehydrator. And a lot of people find that because they're lacking energy or lacking motivation or concentration, that coffee will naturally help this. But in my opinion, I think water is probably a better option over the coffee. And some people will have up to 10 coffees and some people will have up to 2 coffees, and that's what works for them. But it's really important to balance that out, I guess, with water and keeping hydrated throughout the day, because we all know that obviously a lack of water can bring on headaches naturally.
But actually, that's an interesting one too, Em. So what your tolerance was to caffeine, whether it be tea, coffee, whatever, before, can be a little bit changed afterwards. So
yeah,
that can be something we find talking with people. They go, oh, well, I'm used to drinking 5 or 6 cups a day, but I can't quite work out where I'm at now. So we will recommend a lot of water, and we'll recommend frequent and often nutritious being a protein, if possible, based snacks. So things like nuts, even if it's not normally what you'd eat or a time of day that you'd eat, to minimize the headaches is one thing, but also just to keep your system going. It's a recovery. You're in recovery. You are increasing your ability to be able to do your activity, to pace yourself. And it's like recovering from the flu. You don't get up from being in bed for 3 days and then manage a full day. You have to get up and build it back up again. So this is the same concept. And little and often, and food's another big one, isn't it? We spend a bit of time going through the importance of nutrition. Small and often, nuts, a little bit of protein, cheese and crackers, or some dried fruit in a muesli bar type thing. Even if you wouldn't normally eat a whole one, just chop it up into little pieces and have a little bit with your water during the day. Tuna fish tins with those crackers. Just, I can't think of anything off the top of my head now, but
they're all great kind of cost appropriate snacks that aren't expensive, and that you can just have in your pantry or just have in your bag as well, just to make sure that you are snacking regularly, especially at work or if you're out and about during the day. If you feel like you are lacking energy, instead of having that coffee, you might have that muesli bar or that apple instead. It's just a point of saying, hey, what do I need and why? Almost, am I getting this headache? Have I eaten? Have I drunken enough? And just, I guess, going through all those strategies first. Maybe before you go to your doctor, if it's really that bad, because there are a lot of things that you can do to try and eliminate these things, and it might be that the stress is another one that can bring on headaches as well, and there's a whole range of different strategies for stress as well. And I guess stress can lead to reduced eating and routine and a whole range of things. So I think it's really important as well to recognise, you know, if you are a little bit stressed in areas of your life. And some strategies that I often talk about is just breathing, just taking time to sit and breathe. And again, that comes back to the brain breaks, and it's just, you might do that while you're doing a brain break. So it's just in your nose and out your mouth very slowly, and just being aware of how you're breathing, and just kind of being in the moment as well. And I guess that can kind of just almost relax you, because naturally if we're tensing up all our muscles, that can sometimes lead to headaches too. So it's just being aware.
Yeah, and that's often one thing we don't, when we're fit and well, we don't always acknowledge those simple things, the breathing, and how much that is a natural relaxation. We will talk a bit about, well, everyone's on about mindfulness, but basically it's relaxation, and it's allowing yourself to have a stretch, to shrug your shoulders, to roll your shoulders out, to open up the chest, let the air in, breathe right down, use and those are strategies that when you're using those, they can really help to slow down that whole stress response, and or the tensing right up into, because often if you've had a concussion, there will be some sort of force that would have hurt, you know, done this to the brain, whether or not you've actually fallen or hit your head on the door or however it's happened. So there may be some tenseness, which the physio will work on, but also during the day there can be certain things that would just naturally help let the shoulders drop, stop, drop, roll with your shoulders. Think about your breathing right down into your tummy, and that in its own way does an incredible amount for just stopping and slowing things down. So that's in a nutshell sort of where we would start, and often along the way it's reassuring you that a lot of these symptoms are normal, and unfortunately what happens for one of us won't always happen for someone else. So it's working with you as an individual and helping you come through that awful stage where those symptoms, which are the dizziness, maybe the headaches, that feeling of nausea, which is very normal after, or can be a part of a concussion response, helping let them settle, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's unique and has different factors to consider. So it's about just looking at that individual's circumstances and taking it from there. And nothing is right or wrong in terms of how you're feeling. It's just about how we manage it and how we deal with it. So yeah, I think we could probably natter on for a little bit longer, but we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, it's been lovely. There's so much, as I think we just said, it's such an individual approach that there's little things that along the way will work, and there'll be other things that will need to be tweaked.
Okay, until next time.
Radio. Bye.